All right, welcome everyone to the Storytellers Collegiate portion of our Q&A for Oil and Water. We are here today with the writer, the creator, Jenna Rice, and then also the director of the live read, Sing Lathan. And we want to just talk a little bit about the live read, the Storytellers virtual live read, since it couldn't be in person today. But I want to be able to share with all of our SeriesFest attendees the process of this story, bringing this story to life virtually as well. And so let's start with Sing. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? And from my understanding, you've never directed something that's been like a virtual type of live read before. So can you talk about your process in bringing Oil and Water to life?
Yes, this was, I was very honored to be asked to direct this piece, this beautiful story that Jenna created. This was definitely my first table read via Zoom. And I thought it was actually very innovative and clever of you guys because we were able to cast from all over the world, all over the United States. So we were able to get a very diverse crowd of actors, super talented, perfectly casted, I think. And we were able to do really cool backgrounds. I think that was kind of also like a highlight of it. We could really present each character with their own little vignette. So that was what made it really special for me and unique.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, because this story has a very diverse cast, that it's important to get the casting right. And we've seen sometimes in Hollywood that sometimes people will just cast whomever just to play parts just because they maybe they audition well. But that was really important for this story, that we make sure that the characters and the actors portraying those characters were really represented. Can you tell me a little bit about what went into your thought process with bringing your creative touch to storytellers? We always bring different directors in, but we love being able to see the different spins and the different touches that each director brings in with their unique background.
Well, I really appreciated the Indigenous aspect of it and the diverse cast. I am diverse, I'm multi-talented, multifaceted, and bringing more Black and Brown directors and women directors, I think lends itself to just a different perspective, a softer perspective sometimes. And we just have a way, you know, I'm a mom as well, so I was able to maybe bring my motherly advice to some of the actors as well. And I think I'm a visual person for the most part. And although I'm very musical and that's been my background growing up, I think I touched on a lot of the different elements for Oil and Water.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And so was there anything specific that you felt like was challenging for you doing this live read, even though it was, something that was a live table read, even though was your first time, was there something specific that was really challenging for you?
I wouldn't say it was challenging. I think I wanted to pay homage to Jenna's work, and I know that this was her baby, and she's been working on it so hard and for so long that I wanted to make sure I not only was bringing my element and my vision to the story, but also considering Jenna's great vision as well. So I wanted to be conscious of that and sensitive to what she wanted and what she needed to realize her vision. So I think that was maybe the most, I wouldn't say challenging, but something that I considered heavily.
Absolutely. And you did a phenomenal job, honestly. And just so people know, Sing came in, and it was we were trying to find someone that really would fit very well with this story to direct it. And you came in, and it was almost last minute, but the way that you were able to really understand the story, understand the perspectives, understand the tone. It really shows in the live read. And I think it's one of, one of the better ones that we've done for a virtual live read specifically. So, but I know you've got to run. You are a very, very busy, busy woman who is phenomenal. Thank you so much for your time today. And we're going to chat a little bit more with Jenna.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I look forward to more of them and to finally be in person next year.
Yes, we look forward to it.
Okay, ciao.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye, Jenna.
Bye. Okay. All right. Yeah. She did such a great job. So, Jenna, I wanted to talk to you a little bit kind of about your inspiration for the story and where you got the idea to tell this story specifically, and kind of your background with it.
Sure. Yeah, so I have been involved. I've been a documentary photographer for kind of my early career. And I did go out to Standing Rock when they called for more support, and documented out there for a couple months, and just was really inspired by the activism and the kind of direct action people willing to really put themselves and their bodies and everything on the line to try and protect the land and the water and indigenous sacred sites and just important, a really sacred area. And what I also was really inspired by was kind of all these different cultural groups and people from different backgrounds really coming together and kind of having this reckoning of having to deal with a lot of the mistrust and a lot of past betrayals and between white and indigenous and black and white and even socioeconomic differences and really like a lot of healing that took place there. So I was inspired by that, and I also did some support work in Black Mesa against coal, a coal company that was going in there and sort of taking all the water from the aquifers and raping the land and things like that. So again, destroying indigenous sacred sites. So those stories are really important to me. I think they need to be told more. And this is not meant to be a story about Standing Rock. I think there's a lot of people who could do that better. I think what inspired me was that I want to tell stories about people working to make change. And with the climate crisis happening, it's like, we can't just sit and wait for politicians to make change. Like, we really need to, grassroots start making change. And, I think XL being stopped was a win. And that took a lot. That's because of organizing and activism, and a lot of people who put in a lot of years of hard work. And right now there's another resistance going on at Line 3, and trying to protect indigenous water sources for all of us. And so these things continue. There isn't just one sort of resistance, there's multiple. And so this is kind of a story about one group of resistors and what they have to reckon with, dealing with powers that are a lot larger than them. There's a lot of money and a lot of interest in oil and gas, and a lot of crossover of how it can be tied into politics and things like that. So yeah, that was something that interested me, was exploring that, as well as exploring kind of having a multicultural, diverse cast and coming together. Ideally this show, if picked up, would have a writer's room that would be made up of a very diverse group of people, of course, which indigenous voices would be very important to bringing that together. But doing it for my thesis, they told me I had to write it on my own and just get feedback. And a lot of, I've gotten a lot of my indigenous friends have read it and given me feedback, and it's been really positive. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think that is so important too, is that for anyone that is not specifically, who doesn't identify with a certain group or demographic, or a certain type of community, that it's important to always include those voices when you develop the story. And there's often so much talk always about like who has the right to tell a certain story and who doesn't. And I think when you're able to make sure that the people that are in the show and that are in the story, when they're being reflected by the writers and the people who are contributing to the story, to make sure that it's authentic. If you have that, then that just shows you're on the right track and you're doing, the right thing. So I know that you had mentioned you did have lots of people involved on the project who had that diverse background and inclusive voices, so that this could feel very authentic, and it does. As someone who read the script, who thoroughly enjoyed it, I think you did a great job. So tell us what you think.
And just sorry to add to that, like, it's still a work in progress, right? Like there's always room to grow. I'm not trying to, and that's what I appreciate really with SeriesFest, is kind of giving me this opportunity to hear it and be like, okay, how could I make it better? And where could I clarify things? And, really having the actors bring their talent to it and seeing, what comes alive and what works. And as a writer, it's really interesting to see, what's in my head and what translates. So this was a great opportunity for that. Thank you.
Yes, that is exactly right. Especially with SeriesFest, like we love being able to do these live reads for our script competitions. And as a writer, being able to hear your words finally come to life. And people have done table reads before and everything, but it's different when you're able to have it at a festival and see it on a platform, and also you're sharing it publicly with everyone else. It kind of feels a little bit different than just like a table read you do yourself. But of course, there's always room to grow, and this is the whole purpose of SeriesFest, is when you're able to see your work on the screen or hear your work on the screen, and you say, okay, this is good, and I know I can do this, and now I can add this or tweak this. So with that in mind, what do you think is next? Are you going to write more episodes? Are you going to shop this around?
Yeah, I have a pitch deck for it, and I have a kind of like a rough on 4 or 5 episodes after the pilot. And just now that I'm done with the thesis from Stevens College, yeah, I will have more opportunity to really just bring in other creatives and consultants and collaborators and writers who want to work on it with me. And of course, anyone else who wants to fund it is greatly welcome to come on in on the collaboration. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think there's a lot we could do with it. And I think more stories about environmental activism and, things that are happening that just, I don't know, just sometimes I think it gets overwhelming, the amount of stuff that's going on in the environmental crisis and, the history of cultural genocide that we've done into Indigenous people. So it's very overwhelming at times. And so I think it's important to tell stories like, how can we start healing this? Like, what can we do to bring about change? So yeah, I hope other people will relate to that. And, one other thing I wanted to comment on with, about SeriesFest was, it was such an honor to be selected. And then it was also such a learning experience to have, other director come in and sort of take their vision and see, like how different that can be, and just really learn from that too. So thank you again for all the learning and opportunity that this has presented.
And I know that sometimes that's so hard as a writer, if you're also a director, and if you also have directed your own things before, or have seen yourself directing your story. I'm someone that anything that I've written, I've directed. So, sometimes it's challenging to think, oh my goodness, giving this into someone else's hands, and if you're already a very visual person, you see it a certain way. And then you have to give it to someone else that they may not see it the same way that you see it. But also what's the beauty of that is sometimes they can bring a certain element to it that you never even thought of. And so did you feel, were you nervous that we were bringing someone in to kind of direct it? Of course, it's not a real episode, but at least with the live read, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's true because I am a writer and director. So yeah, I think letting go of control of something, and something that I've been bringing on for so long, like Sing said, my baby or whatever. I think it is challenging to let go of that control, and then it's also a really good growing experience and a really good opportunity to learn about collaborating and communication and things. And yeah, and I think, and then also, even just if things maybe didn't translate on the page the way I wanted, to learn like, oh, how can I write that more clearly, or write that character more clearly so that that translates, maybe because in my head it was one way, and then it's interpreted another, and maybe like the new way it's interpreted is better. It's just that adjustment of like going from the head to the different perspectives and different views on how people see it. So yeah, I think it was like, of course there's the part of me that would love to direct and to keep it my baby, and then there's a part of me that learned so much from this experience, and was so happy to have so many talented people collaborating on it. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a wonderful kind of once in a lifetime experience to have that opportunity. And Jenna, thank you so much for taking your time out today and sharing your process and this wonderful story that will be showing on Sunday, June 27th, officially the virtual live read for Oil and Water. And we thank you so much for your story, your time, your script, and thank you to Sing as well. And we look forward to seeing more from you in the future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I
Thank
look forward to seeing you guys in the future too.
Of course, yes. Thank you.
Take care.